All right. What up, Footy gang? How we doing today? Welcome to the pod, the Footy Pod. I'm your host, Rhett, and this week we have a good one. It's a good one, guys. It's a good one. Because you know why? You all know why. The Prem starts on Friday. Friday this week, today of recording. It is Tuesday, August 18th. And on Friday, it all begins. Arsenal kicking off against shit. Who is it? I think we're playing Coventry. 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 The first team I ever watched in English in England ever. Went to a Coventry game. I still remember the stadium like it was like yesterday. So what are the odds? They're back in the Prem and they've got a good manager behind them as well. So Frank Lampard. So, with that though, since it's the beginning of the season, we of course have to do predictions for the season. So I figured today we would spend some time and kind of talking about my predictions for the season, talking about some of the teams, kind of rambling on like usual, but also just kind of why my thought process is around it and X Y Z, etc. etc. And we'll get into some other stuff towards the end of the after we kind of go through this. But I want the main focus to be kind of the season predictions, and I want to hear everyone else's as well. So if you're in the comments section of the pod, or also you're listening to this on YouTube, throw me any that you think. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, if you agree, if you disagree, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. So with that, yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. Okay, so I figured whenever we would start here, we were going to start. Let's start at the bottom, right? So the who's getting relegated, 18 to 20 spots, and then we will kind of go from there. And actually, I forgot to move one of these teams in here. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm good. But so we'll start 18, 19, and 20, right? Or whatever. We'll start at number 20, right? Number 20, I've got, and this is no really particular order. I guess 19 and 20. I feel like 19 and 20 are no particular order, to be honest, because usually I feel like the top two just kind of sink off the cliff. And then the 18th spot is where everyone's fighting for towards the end of the season. So 20, I have Hull City. Hull, great job coming up and making it through. I know my buddy Matt, if he's listening to this, he will be a little sad because I know he reps Hull City when he's not in the after hours. So that'll be a little tough. And I'll be honest, like growing up, my soccer coach growing up, he was a massive Hull City fan, and I think he even like he used to give out jerseys to players whenever we like win, shooting competitions at practice and stuff like that. And I remember it was kind of it's funny now because I'm like later on in life I'm like that's so cool because no one knew who Hull City was. This was back in I don't know when the last time they were in the Prem. They were there for a decent stint, but yeah, this was a different time, right? And like no one knew who they were, and now I'm sure everyone on my soccer team that grew up knows a lot more about Hull City than the average person. So, but unfortunately, yeah, I have them going back down in this scenario. I just think that they're not probably going to be strong enough. And we see this every single year. It's just like a couple of teams that come up just don't really feel like they have it all to kind of withstand that. And 19th, right? So we'll go straight to that. I'm putting Ipswich there. Yeah, I don't think Ipswich will. I think it's just gonna be tough for them. They were one and done last time they were in, and they might have learned some from it, but I see them being kind of one and done again here. Um, they really haven't bolstered their squad like you would think. I don't think they have nearly as much talent as what they had before. There might be some shockers in there. I'll be honest, I'm not like a professional. I haven't watched a ton of Ipswich or Hull City, so I don't know a ton about their game. But usually when they're making at least some like wash prem signings and stuff like that, I give these teams a little bit more of a chance, but it's tough whenever they really haven't. It doesn't seem like they. So they're sticking to their guns. They're sticking to what got them there, which I actually really respect as well. Um, so yeah, we got Ipswich in 1920. Now here's for the contender spot, right? So this is actually one that's kind of tough, because it's like at the end of the season, it's like, that fourth place spot, and for the Champions League, and maybe that sixth place spot for some of the other leagues are like always getting contested for. This one's always kind of a last minute. You never know what's going to happen with this one. And when I was going through and I was looking at all the teams, I was like, the only one that I really thought that I was like, okay, I could actually see this happening, who actually had a decent stint last year, I could see Leeds going back down. And so I picked them. I picked 18th being Leeds. I think Leeds will be the team to go back down. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that when I was looking at the other squads, I was like, I just don't really see any other team going down. But I see a team, a non promoted team, right? So, like it's going to be someone different, right? Just like how it was West Ham last year. Like I just feel like it's going to be someone's going to get pulled down. Someone's going to get caught in that draft, that current, and just get kind of ripped around a little bit. You go and you have like a month of bad games, and then bang, you're just like you're on the dead bottom, and you're going to be fighting for your life for the rest of the season most likely. So, and it can happen pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. So that's what I've got. So it's going to be Leeds, Ipswich, Hull City. Those are my three relegators. Relegationators, however you want to call it. So now we're going up. These are the safe spots. Or I guess these aren't even really, I mean, it's sort of safe, whatever. But, these are the ones I think they're going to be fighting, I think, at the end. These are my, I think there's going to be three teams. I'm going to give you 17, 16, and 15, right? These are your three teams that I think are going to be fighting to not get relegated towards the end. I have Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, and Coventry. Okay? I have Nottingham Forest as 17th. I have Newcastle as 16th, and I have Coventry as 15th. And that's probably surprising to some. I'm sure. Because a lot of people probably think that Coventry is going to go back down. Nottingham Forest, I don't think that they've strengthened enough. I don't think that they're a better team than what they were last year. So I think they're going to struggle just like they did last year. So that's how I look at Nottingham Forest. I don't think they have the squad to be able to do much better than what they've done before. Honestly, the same goes with Newcastle. Newcastle has been stripped down. They've lost Tonali, they lost Bruno Guimaraes, they've lost Alexander Isak. That was last year. Who else have they lost? Kieran Trippier is now gone. He was a huge leader on that team. I think there's one more. Anthony Gordon. They've also lost Anthony Gordon. They've been completely stripped out. They've lost their coach as well. So I'm blanking on his name. I can picture him right now. But yeah, they lost their gaffer as well. So I see them struggling. I see them really struggling. I honestly thought they could put them in the relegation. It's that bad. I don't think they're strong at all. I think they're gonna struggle really, really bad. And yeah, they don't have enough quality. They certainly didn't have enough quality last year. Like, they're losing even more now. It's going to be brutal for them, I personally think. And yeah, so, and then we have that 15th spot. Honestly, I think that's just Coventry. I think that's Coventry having a decent enough season to where they can stay up, and they'll be a little bit like, hopefully they're not fighting too much towards the end, but hopefully they get a little bit of breathing room, because I really like Coventry. I think also I'm not saying this is a crutch, but they did do really, really well last year, right? So they did fantastic in the championship. They won it early. Okay, that's fantastic. But then I think they also have Frank Lampard, and I think just Frank Lampard like just knows. I think he knows what the Prem entails, what he's going to be going against. He'll know how crazy this game schedule is going to be, and I think he's going to be able to actually help out a lot with a lot of his players. They only have 3 games a week. They're not like Europe or anything, obviously anything crazy. So like, they're not going to be doing anything wild. But if I'm Coventry, like, I'm not really worrying about the FA Cup. I'm not worrying about anything else. I'm just literally playing my strongest side possible every single week for the Prem and trying to nick points off teams. So, and I think they can do it. I think they're a good enough team to actually do it. So, definitely going to be one of those teams that I'm watching this year, which is actually exciting. Usually, I don't have a lot of teams that I'm watching that are beside kind of Arsenal. So, yeah, 14th place. So we'll move on here. I've got Brentford. I'm not going to spend too much time on a lot of these, but Brentford, 14th place. I just see Brentford as having another. They had a good season last season. They had a new coach in. Obviously, their coach before went to Tottenham. He did not do well there. Got sacked. Is no longer coaching as of right now. So yeah, they did very, very well. They did very, very well, and they were the ones that loved the meat wall, as we call it, right? We love them. They always use the meat wall, which is AKA, if you're not familiar with that saying, the meat wall is throwing the ball, getting the ball in the box, and just having a bunch of people run into it basically and get it in the goal, which is the name of the game in the Prem right now. They were actually no. What am I talking about? That's actually Brentford. I'm not. I'm off there. Sorry. I remember you talking about Bournemouth. I think okay. Let's restart here. Actually, let's completely restart because no, I am talking about Brentford. All right. I don't know what I'm doing there. So I think Brentford is in 14th. Brentford are going to have a decent out season. I think they're going to do well enough, but just not as incredible as they did last season. I think if they stay in there though, that's fine. Like that's all good, and they should be happy in there. So anyway, sorry for the confusion. In 13th place, who do we have? Bournemouth. That's why I was going crazy there for a second. I've got Bournemouth right there. So Bournemouth, they've lost Areola as their coach. Okay, so going into this season, when you lose your coach, they've had the whole summer to get a new coach, and they're gonna be all right. But it's a new coach, it's a new team. I think they could lose. They've lost some players. They could lose more. I think Areola was that glue on that team. I think he was that big dog in there, helping them out. Krupi, like I think he'll still do well. They still have a really good team, but I don't really see them doing as well as they did last year. That's for sure. And I think this always happens with. So Bournemouth they're playing in Europe this year. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, they're playing in Europe this year. This always happens when teams play in Europe, especially if they're not used to it. It happened to Crystal Palace last year. You just don't do as well. You don't do as well in the league because you have so many games. You've already got, you're playing 3 games a week whenever you're playing FA Cup or Carabao Cup games, and then you add in like European games after that. It just becomes too much. It's very, very difficult, and you have to have that's why the elite squads, the big dog squads have so many players, and they have to be elite. You have to be able to throw in a guy that can start on any of these teams. That would be a regular starter on them. So that sounds bad saying that, like, oh, on these teams, but like you get the point. Like I'm not trying to. It's not a diss. It's just the nature of the beast. But so I see Bournemouth at 13th. 12th, I've got Everton. I kind of dabble with this one a little bit because I actually do think Everton's a great squad. I do think they're doing really good, and they're run well, and yeah, I do think they're a good squad. But at the same time, I was like, what more do I see Everton doing? 12th place, stay in the mix. Just stay in the mix. Nothing crazy. Nothing jaw dropping. Like I think they have an okay squad, and they're just gonna stay in the mix. Nothing too more, too less. Next, Crystal Palace in 11th place. Okay, just kind of how like I was talking about Bournemouth there. Palace I see in 11th. I love watching Palace. We all know this. We all know Rhett loves to watch Palace. It's my side woman in the sport. I love Palace. Um, so and that's because of AG. Shout out to AG on that one. But love watching them. Love watching them. So, but again, they're in Europe this year. Palace has not. They keep on losing center backs. They lost Gay last year, middle of last year. To City, they lost Lacroix this year. I hope I said that one right. Lacroix. They lost Lacroix this year to Chelsea. They don't really have anyone else in there. They have obviously they have Chris Richards, but I'm like, and Chris Richards is phenomenal. They also lost their manager as well. So it's Palace are. I can't put them any higher. I can't put them any lower. I feel like they're gonna do right in there, and this is where Palace usually kind of stays right in here for most normal seasons. But I think Palace are gonna be focusing on Europe again. So they're gonna be focusing on the Europa League. They're going to be looking at that. Of course, they'll try in the league. I'm not saying they're not going to, but they're going to push in the league. But, when January, February comes along, they're going to be focusing on Europe because European play is going to be huge. And they will have a very, very good chance to win the Europa League. So hopefully they get a couple more players in by the end of this transfer window. I hope they get at least they need at least a defender or two. Honestly, I think on the rest of the field they're fine because they haven't really lost any other attacking players. They're still keeping Mateta. They're still keeping Sarr. They're still keeping Kamada, Divini, all the rest. They're keeping. They still got Nketiah. All the rest are good, but on the defense, they definitely need a little bit more. Just a little bit more there. Okay, so now we're going into the top 10. All right, so top 10 here. I've got Sunderland at number 10. Okay, nothing too crazy here. Sunderland had a really good season last year. I think they're going to have another good season this year. I think they have enough quality. They're going to keep on going. They're going to keep on going and going. I think they're going to have a good season. Not quite pushing. They could have a little bit of a push for European spots like they did last year, but so a lot of these teams usually have second year slumps because they came up last year, so they could, I'm a little weary of that as well. They could have a second year slump, so Sunderland could be a little bit lower this year. 10th could be a little ambitious, honestly, putting them as 10th place, but hey. I feel they did so well last year that I backed them. They haven't really lost many players. They're doing a lot of scouting. You can definitely tell they're one of those. I feel like they're trying to become that new Brighton, where they're like, hey, we're going to be scouting hard and finding players from the French league and et cetera, et cetera. So ninth place, I've got Fulham. Okay, so Fulham in ninth. They've got Arbeloa as their new coach. I think he's going to do well. I think he's got I think he'll probably have a new system for them, a new coach. Marco Silva was good, but just not enough. Marco Silva just didn't feel like he was enough for Fulham to kind of really do what the Palaces have done, the Brightons have done. They just didn't have enough oomph to get through. And Fulham have a fantastic squad. If you look at them on paper, they're very, very good. Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, Emil Smith Rowe. You've got I already said Iwobi, and so much more. Wilson as well. He was on fire last year. Really like watching him play. Yeah, really good team. Anthony Robinson as well. Leno is a good goalkeeper. Yeah, they got a really good squad, man. A really good squad. So, and Josh King as well. Josh King plays in that 10 role. He's kind of an up and coming player. He got a lot. He got a lot of the game time last season as well. So yeah, I thought he did pretty well there. So really exciting squad as always. So hopefully they're going to do well this year. Eighth spot, Brighton. Okay, so I've got Brighton in eighth. I think Brighton are moving and grooving like they have been for the past 3 or 4 seasons. I think they're going to get eighth place. They're going to be fighting. They're going to be at the end. These are these teams. I think ninth and below are going to be in the mix. They're going to be fighting. They're going to be fighting for that sixth spot, that fifth spot, and they're going to be, or at least sixth spot. I think they're going to be, it's going to be close in there. So, I see Brighton in there in the mix, honestly. Then I've got seventh. Okay, so this is one spot off of Conference Leagues. This is the person who just misses out. I've got Chelsea. Chelsea didn't wow me last year. They haven't wowed me the last couple years. I don't see them wowing me this year. I just don't really see it. I think they have enough to. I think they always have enough to nick some games and do some good work and win some big games, and of course they can like beat the weaker teams, but they are so unpredictable that it's very very hard to kind of put them in a spot that says yeah you're gonna I can easily see you challenging because on paper they have a fantastic squad, but that's not how it works. It's just not how it works, and they have so many players coming in and out at all times. It just to gel, it doesn't. It's hard. And they have Xabi Alonso. They have Xabi Alonso in there, and I think Xabi Alonso is a great coach. But Chelsea is a different beast. Chelsea as a team is a different beast. So it's gonna be difficult for him. But I think if he was in the mix for Europe, I think that would be good for him. I mean, it's just so hard whenever you have like basically a fresh new team every single year. They have 11 new signings this year. Like if he gels that together, then like kudos to him. But like it's really hard. Like you're gonna have a good you could have a good season with that, but to like be in European play and like actually finish like that, it's tough, man. It's really really tough. All right, so Conference League, so sixth spot. I've got Tottenham. Tottenham in sixth place. I think Tottenham under De Zerbi are gonna do pretty decent. I don't see them getting in top four, no, but I think Conference League is. I think they'll be fighting with Chelsea basically to get in there, and they'll have a couple good games where they can. I think they'll be a lot more fierce of a team than they were before, which is probably good for the team. So there'll be a lot. I won't say any more about them. I hope they. Honestly, I should have put them as being relegated. Whatever. My show, I should have done it, but I didn't. I was truthful. I was truthful in how I should actually objectively look at this. So, and but now I'm feeling like that's a mistake. Anyway, whatever. We'll go on. All right, fifth place, Liverpool. So. I moved these around a lot. Like the fifth to first, I moved these around a ton. Well, fifth to second, really, to be honest. But because I was like, man, what am I actually gonna see this year? And I'm still not even sure about it, honestly. Like, obviously, like there's just so much that could happen. Because there's been a lot of change up. Liverpool have a new manager. They have Areola, and he's a fantastic manager. But it's a new team. It's a new squad. Liverpool have They did not do well last year with this almost the same squad. They had some injuries and things like that. They'll have some players back, and they'll have a little bit more of a bolster squad this year. But it's kind of the same old where you're thinking like Van Dijk's a little old, Salah just left. Who's going to bring up for Salah's goal tally? And you saw it last year. Salah didn't really. Salah always overperforms, right? So even last year, where I would say it was he did very well. I think he got 13 goals or something like that. I mean, or something like that. I don't know. I don't have his stats up. I think I saw something around that. Let's just call it that. Like a normal year for like a really good year for a normal player. But that's like normal for him because he's usually 20 plus every single season. They suffered. Liverpool suffered. And I think it just kind of showed how like reliant they were on him and on his first bad year in like good Lord knows how many years. It was not a good year for them. So So yeah, I see them as being in fifth place. I think that to me it makes sense. All right, so fourth place. I have got Man City in fourth. I see Man City being in fourth place. Most people will probably say they will be in second, or even possibly third. I think fourth. I think that it's actually going to be a little bit tight with them in Liverpool for that fourth place spot. I think Enzo Maresca is a new coach. He's going to have to figure it out. He did well with Chelsea for the first half last year, but it's different. Man City's going to be a new beast. They have a lot of their same squad, but he's gonna have to find some identity behind them. He's gonna be gone from they're gonna have to find a new person in that dressing room is gonna be completely different. They're not gonna have Pep anymore, where they were looked at probably as like, we have to win this. It's for Pep. I play for Pep. I have to. It's different whenever you're a new coach, man. New coach has been gone. Like that coach is, Pep has been there for what? He was there for like 8, 9 years, maybe even 10 years. I'm not really sure, but like that's a long time, man. Like I've seen it before with Arsenal. Like it's tough, man. It's really Liverpool saw it. Oh, actually, Liverpool did not see it because they won the league the year after Klopp left. But Klopp also left with a fantastic squad. I don't think Man City's strengthened. Like they definitely aren't as strong as before. So they've lost so much of their talent. They've lost Rodri now. They've lost Rodri. They've lost Bernardo. They've lost who else? Ake. A decent amount of like older players that have been there for a while now. So yeah, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be really really different for them. But yeah, I think they nicked that fourth spot. Okay, third I've got Aston Villa in third spot. I think that they will. I don't know, almost like feel like they deserve a third place spot because Emery is a fantastic coach. They did lose Morgan Rogers, which is a little, but I feel like Unai Emery always finds a way to get his teams to do well. So yeah, I mean honestly, like not more than that on it. Like I think that Villa just get in the third spot and they can handle that. So that's where I see them there. It's just being able to handle it. Just can you handle that stress and we saw them play against. I didn't watch the game against PSG, but they put up a really good fight against PSG. PSG are a monster of a club, monster of a team. They put up a good fight against them, and I think that's really good to be able to have that fight in you in preseason. So I like that. I think they're going to do well this season. Second spot, Man United. I see Man United being in second spot. I think that Michael Carrick, I actually really like Michael Carrick. I really like him. I love how chill he is, honestly. He's refreshing. He's different. He's new. And I think he knows how to run that club. And he's been doing it for a while at this point. He's had some time in seat, and he's able to figure it out. He's literally figured out the playing style for them. And I think their preseason's been like a little interesting. I think they lost to AC Milan, but I don't think you should pay too much attention in preseason. Like it's not like so important because I think a lot of managers are trying out new things and they're trying out new situations and things like that, and game states and whatever else. But yeah, like I think Man United have a good shot. Like they at least contesting and going after it. Like truly, like having a good go at it, and which would be super exciting. So and at the end, I've got Arsenal at number 1. I see Arsenal just being able to win it again. I think that is. I think Mikel has spent all these years preparing the team to be able to win something and win the Prem. But I think he's always spent also within that has spent time not just being like, yeah, this is a one time deal. Like in all of his conversations and any interviews, it's always talked about sustainability and being able to sustain as well. Arsenal has been up there sustaining to win. It's been second place for like 4 years on the trot or something like that. So like, and now you finally win it. Okay, like I think you go after it again, and like especially on a year where City are going to be a little bit down, possibly Liverpool will be a little bit down. I think it's a perfect time to go and win it again, and I think they have the squad to do it. We haven't really lost any players of high caliber. Trossard being maybe one of them, but other than that, and I think that Solis, the new guy that's come in, I think he's already kind of slotted in pretty well, and he looks almost like a like for like for Trossard. We'll see if he can deliver. Trossard is actually a really big miss, just because in big games he actually did show up a lot. We've talked about this before in pods with Granite and Patrick, but he's a big time player, and he will come in and do a really good shift. And yeah, he was clutch. Trossard was a clutch player. He would get a goal when you really needed one, and he had a knack for it. So yeah, so I see Arsenal being able to continue to win here, and they're my clear favorites in my head. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the rating. So we'll go. I'll quickly just go back through them again. So relegated: Leeds, Ipswich, Hull, middle, bleh. Tottenham in Conference League, Liverpool in fifth, Man City in fourth, Aston Villa in third, Man United in second, Arsenal in first. So that's what I've got. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm right. I do think that this is decent, but yeah, we'll kind of see. It'll be really interested to see how the season goes. It's gonna be really different. I wonder if the dynamic's gonna change. Last year, it was a lot about throw-ins, set pieces, things like that. Is that going to flip this year? Are we going to have different teams playing different styles? Have teams adjusted to that enough, right? Or have they built that into their game states where they're like, okay, if we do have to pack it in, if we're playing against a time, like, we're playing against, maybe like a team like Ipswich, right? How are they going to play against Man City, Man United, Arsenal, like Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, like these teams that like are going to be flying at them, being incredibly aggressive? Like, what are they going to do about them? Like, are they going to soak that pressure in? Are they going to play their own ball? Like, there's a lot of at stake and on the line, especially with these coaches, right? Because the last thing you want to do is like be playing your like you obviously want to play your game, but like if it's not working, you have to change. You have to pivot very, very quickly, because you don't want to get sacked by the middle of the season, or by October. You don't want to get sacked. If you're Hull, if you're Ipswich, any of these teams, like you do not want to get sacked that early on, because then you're like, okay, I played my game, and that's fine. But like, I mean, maybe you want to go out swinging and playing your own game, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. But like, you also have to be able to adapt, and I think adapting is huge, 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 huge in this league, because if it's not working, you got to adjust quick, because those points are going, and you can't get them back. You really can't get them back. So that's kind of how I see the season going this year. I was going to talk a little bit about the Jose Mourinho documentary on Netflix. I've watched 2 episodes out of the 3. But I'll be honest, I think I'm going to save that for another one, because I think I'm going to get my man AG on the pod, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it, because he's been watching them as well. So I think that is my plan there, to do that. So hopefully next week we can talk a little bit more about that. I need to watch. I think I'm going to watch the 3rd episode, maybe tonight actually, and knock that out. But anyway, well, Footy Pod, thank you guys so much for today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one. I want to get the season prediction. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I guess we'll just keep this as like history, right? It's like, at the end of the season, we'll come back to it at the end of the season, right? We'll come back to it and be like, how wrong was Rhett? How wrong was Rhett? Well, that's what we'll figure out. So, or maybe how right I was. Maybe. I better not be right about the Tottenham one, though. I will be a little upset if I'm right about that one. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time. Like I said before, this is streaming on all platforms. So anything that you're looking at, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, yada, 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 etc., it's on there. We're also on YouTube, though. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, man, I would love to be able to see Rhett's face. You can. You totally can, and it should be in the podcast link actually as well, a link to the YouTube. Hopefully, I hope there is. So anyway, if there's not, let me know. But at the same time, you should be able to find this on YouTube as well. So, but I love you all. Thank you so much for the support. If you're listening this far, you know how much I love you, and I appreciate you so much for listening to me yap. So, but all right, guys, peace. See you next week.